Thank you, Mr. AG, for your very detailed presentation on the budget. But I have a question that non-Fijian government has delivered to the Fijian people since independence in 1970. Can your ministry tell the public of Fiji what is the total revenue of the government?
Yeah, sure. It's here, in this book. So obviously revenue changes every year. The revenue here is total estimated revenue is $4.2 billion.
Yeah, but it's not, it was not highlighted in the dailies or any over the TV that the government earned this much money. It's only when I asked you, you told me. I request if this information would be released to all the Fijians so that they know the government's income, total income, set aside the grants or the aids or whatever they receive. Just the full income of the whole Fijian government.
So, you see, did you listen to my budget speech? Did you listen to my budget speech?
No, sir.
Okay, in my budget speech I said what was the income. See, because I have to, in my budget speech, say how much money we're making, say how much we're going to spend, and then say what the deficit is. So it's there. I mean, I can't help it if the newspapers don't pick it up or they don't highlight it. What I'm saying to you is that everywhere we've gone, we've actually highlighted this public. This is why I say read this book. If you go to the budget, should you just find me the page? If you go to the budget book, in the front it shows you the total operating, it shows you the revenue, it shows you how much you're going to spend, it shows you what the deficit will be, what's the amount, and then also we tell you how we're going to fund it. Where will the funding come from? All the details are there. And if you go to this page here, sorry, I don't have my glasses with me, so page 330, updating revenue. It's all there. So it's, all of that is published. Maybe the media here, if they can want to publish this, I think they have. I don't know. Fijian, have you done it? They've done it. Please buy the Fiji Times. Maybe if you're reading the Fiji Times, please buy the Fiji Sun. Don't read the Fiji Times if they're not publishing it. So, but my point is there. You can get all the details. You can also see the revenue for the previous years. So you see over here, it says actual 2016-17, estimate 2017-2018, estimate 2018-2019, and projection also. 2019-2020, 2020-21. All of that information is there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Another question, sir.
Sure.
Prior to the events of 1987,
Yes.
our dollar value was much stronger next to the US dollars, if I'm not wrong. But after the events of 1987, twice our dollar has been devalued. Right now, our economy is growing, which you have just highlighted. So many, within 9 years, our economy has grown by so many percentage. Why can't we revalue our dollar to what it was before?
Okay.
If the economy is growing, then the dollar value should be high.
Sure. Before I do the other addition here, you can see the revenue, how the revenue has grown here. Okay, this is the revenue we're making. In these, this is the tax revenue. Okay, how much we're collecting in tax. Just to answer your previous question, all the details are there. Now, you see the way that the dollar is valued, of course, our Fijian dollar is valued against what we call a basket of currencies. So we have the US dollar, Japanese yen, euros, and I think the Aussie dollar is thrown in the basket too, right? So these are the currencies against which our dollar is valued. Yes, of course, after the 87 coup, the two coups actually in 87, in May, and of course, let me finish. Don't be prejudiced about your answers. Yeah, 87 we had two coups, in May and then September. Of course, then you had the events of 2000. Then of course you had the events of 2006. Now, you see, the dollar does not get appreciated or depreciated generally just because you feel like today you want to appreciate the Fijian dollar. It's what you call artificially being increased or decreased. You have to look at the market forces. You have to look at how strong the economy is. If this economy keeps on growing, then obviously the dollar value of the Fijian dollar will increase also. Now, many people say, oh, somebody actually said to us the other day, they said, oh, we should, why don't you increase the dollar value? So when we buy things from overseas, it'll be cheaper. Right? So like, for example, you may want to go on a holiday to the US. I don't know why you're asking me this question. Maybe you want to go on a holiday to the US. So now if you're going to take a Fijian dollar, you may get only, 48, 49 cents at the moment, right? It's about 48, 49 cents for a Fijian dollar. So you'll get only that much. Obviously, if the dollar value is higher, you may get 60, 70 cents, 80 cents, whatever it is. Now, on the flip side also, many people want to buy Fijian goods also. Many tourists want to come to Fiji. If your dollar value is higher, they'll say Fiji is too expensive to go to. Let's maybe go to Vanuatu. Let's go to Phuket in Bali, Phuket in Thailand. Let's go to Bali in Indonesia. Let's go to Gold Coast. So on the flip side, there's also the disadvantage if your dollar is too high, in particular, if you are an economy that has what we call self-services. Tourism sector is a service sector. So then you will actually affect the jobs of people who work in the tourism industry, because if your tourism numbers drop, the hotels get empty. If the hotels get empty, the taxi drivers at Nandi have less job. The lady who's working in the hotel gets told, okay, you don't have to come, 3 days in a week. So you have to look at both sides. So we don't interfere with the valuation of the currency as a government per se. Monetary policy is determined by the Reserve Bank of Fiji. The Reserve Bank of Fiji is an independent body. That's why it's always good to keep what I've announced to you as the fiscal measures. The fiscal measures are what? Government-driven policies. We can change tariff, we can change the income tax threshold, etc. We don't go and interfere. The PS economy actually sits on the Reserve Bank board. They have an independent board. They determine monetary policy. They will, for example, determine and say, oh, our foreign reserves is getting low. So if people want to send a lot of money overseas, they'll put a stop to it. Because if you send money overseas, you'll reduce your foreign currency reserves. So they say it's not a good thing to do. Otherwise, we won't be able to trade. So they determine that side of things. It's not government's intervention all the time that determines. And you also cannot. You see, if you keep on changing your your dollar value all the time, the market, international market won't rely on your currency. This is too much artificially driven. So you can't do that. So again, if the economy grows, you have good infrastructure, you have solid foundations to the economy, your dollar itself will appreciate in any case. But remember also one thing, we're a small player in the global market. We're a very small player in the global market. So if tomorrow, for example, certain things happen in the Middle East, certain things happen in Asia, certain political situations happen in USA, etc., it has an impact on the valuation of their currencies also, which can also have an impact on us. So for example, you'll see sometimes that the Aussie dollar drops in value against ours. Why? Because of certain political issues, certain economic issues in Australia, or the New Zealand dollar. So that's how it also gets affected. We're not the ones who can control it. If you, for example, say today, let's appreciate the Fijian dollar, and then their dollar keeps on going up, you can't keep on chasing it, because your dollar value won't mean much, because you're artificially growing it. That's why.
The dollar has never been changed since the events of 1987.
Sorry?
Since the events of 1987.
Could you put your mic so people can hear you?
Since the events of 1987,
Yeah.
our dollar has never been changed. It was only devalued, never revalued.
You mean never appreciated?
Yes.
No. No, that's not true. It has appreciated in the market. I can tell you what the dollar value last week was against one currency. It changes. You can go to a bank on a daily basis, it changes. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. So for example, you had the dollar value against the Aussie dollar at one time higher. One time it is low, then it crept up again. So against the individual currencies, yes, of course it changes, appreciated and depreciated. What you're talking about is an overall, the government policy, Reserve Bank policy announcement saying, let's increase it. That's what you're saying. But on a daily basis, vis-a-vis the market currency, the currency's measurement against other currencies, it has appreciated. It's true. You need to check your figures. Thanks. Anybody else? हाँ बोलो बोलो
अच्छा
हाँ बोलो बोलो
अच्छा देखो भैया, अभी आप थोड़ा पहले बोला रहा कि घर के लोन मिले सके ना। हम ईयर 2016 में हमें ज़मीन मिला, हम तब से लेके कागज़ घूमता आज तक हमें लोन नहीं मिला। पता है तुम्हारा एज नहीं है, एज खलास हुई है और हस्बैंड काम नहीं करे, रिटायर है, तो हम किसके पास जाए पैसा मांगे। और हमारा बड़ा लड़का फास्ट हुई है, एक लड़का हमारे पास रहा 25 ईयर्स के, बट लड़का को इतना ढेर पढ़ाया सब चीज़, लड़का एक लड़की लेके पढ़ा और कुछ हमारा बैंक बैलेंस गिराओ भी नहीं जल्दी, तो हमारे पास अब कुछ नहीं है। हम रेंट करता हूँ, प्लीज रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ थोड़ा कुछ पैसा मिल जाता है घर प्लीज, कुछ नहीं।
अच्छा आपकी जो समस्या जो ना बात करा है ये आपके पर्सनल प्रॉब्लम बाद में बात करेगा आपसे इसके बारे में। अच्छा जो ना आप प्रॉब्लम रेज करा है ये आपके जाति मामला है, ये बजट नहीं, हम बात सुनो तो हम आपके बाद में मिलेगा, बाद में इसके बारे में बात करेगा, राइट। हम अभी आपसे बोला हम आपसे बाद में बात करेगा इसके बारे में, बाद में बात करें। What the lady is asking, she's saying that she needs a loan to build a house. She's educated a son who's taken off with somebody, he's taken off with some of her money too, and she needs a roof and she's renting at the moment. So I've said to her that I'll talk to her afterwards because it's a personal matter of hers. Okay, for those who don't understand. Like I said, if there's any personal issues, I'll see you. I've spent 2 hours after these meetings with people with personal problems. Hopefully it won't be 2 hours here. But the fact of the matter is I'm quite happy to talk to you after this, after this. Gentlemen here.
Good evening, sir. I just wanted to ask, what's the government allocation on the, as you can know, that agriculture is backbone, and most of Navua people or people in this country are farmers.
Yes.
So what is the allocation for budget of agriculture ministries?
Sure. I'll get Shiri to pull it up. I had shown it to you. It's over here. Agriculture received a budget of $96.8 million. It's an increase than what they had received. And the, if you look at it, last year, just ended in August, and they received $86 million. We've increased their budget by another $10 million. So it's gone up to $96.8 million for the agriculture budget. And then you'll see, for example, within the, I mean, I don't know if you've seen this book or not, but you can get it online. You have, for example, the different areas. Policy administration, economic planning, statistical services. Then you have research, information services. You have crops administration, specific funding for crops. Crops extension, you know, so for example, different areas of crop extension, you know, whether it's ginger, whether it's vanilla, whether it's yangona, dalo, cottage industry, flatland, potato farming, pineapple development, all of that is here. Then you have crops research in the different areas like seeds and planting, tissue culture, livestock. Do you have any other questions on agriculture?
As we know, these allocations are there for the agriculture ministries, right? But what we can see is there's the allocations are made for certain particular farming assistance. But what I'm trying to say here is, what is the economic investment into agriculture as a whole?
I don't understand what you...
Like what are the economic investment in the agriculture sector?
By the private sector?
By the government.
$96.8 million.
most of that budget goes into subsidiary and other particular areas of the agriculture.
What do you mean subsidiary? Subsidiary like what?
Like you can say fertilizer subsidiary and other that is already in existence.
No, but what do you mean by subsidiary? I don't understand. Please explain to me.
The government subsidies into the agriculture sector.
Subsidiary or subsidy?
Subsidy.
Subsidy.
Yeah.
We don't give that much subsidy. We give subsidies to, for example, Fiji Dairy, the cooperative. We give some subsidy there. We give subsidies to, for example, fertilizers for ginger farmers, dalo farmers. We give them subsidies. But most of it doesn't go into that. Hardly actually it goes into subsidy. We give subsidies, yes, in the sugarcane sector. Sugarcane budget is different to agriculture budget. It's not part of the one. It's part of the same. They're separate. So it's incorrect actually what you're saying to say that it goes into subsidies. No, most of it doesn't go into subsidy at all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Oh, there's a lady here.
My question is on home loan buying.
Yes.
Yes. This grant or assistance, is it applicable to people who purchase freehold properties too? Because you only mentioned leased.
No, it is. For this one here, the first home purchase grant, and the for those below 50,000, those above, is also for freehold too. But the one that I was talking about, the Itauke and the Crown land, is a first land purchase. That one. So the reason why we actually talking about first land purchase for Itauke and also for Crown land or state land is because that's the area that people have a demand for, or demand in, I should say. But for this one here, it can be any property. But it must be, remember, it must be a first home.
Because this area in Navua,
Yes.
mostly land here are freehold. We have limited on the ground lease. There's no native lease around the Navua area.
Yeah, so you can go under this. Yeah.
Thank you.
But you have to go through the banking system. Remember, all of this you have to go on the banking system. This one, because you're going for a first land purchase for Itauke or Crown land, then we pay the money directly for the purchase of the lease to those two organizations. So, for example, you can get a quarter acre TLTB lease. They may say, look, we want $12,000. So we see the agreement to lease, etc., and then we see the documentation, and then we directly make a payment to TLTB. Now, of course, with Crown land, it's not extended to Crown land for this one. For this one, it's not. But of course, if you're building your first home in Navua, it'll be on freehold land in any case. Right? So that's how you get around that.
So that means that 750,000 goes for land surveying and all that.
Which 750? No, this one here is for people who are already living on land, but it's not surveyed. Like if you go to Vudi in Nasori, some people have been living there for 20, 30 years, but they do not have a proper lease because land has not been surveyed. So the moment the land gets surveyed, because there's disputes over the peggings and all that, once the land is surveyed, then the Itauke Lands Trust Board will issue them a proper lease. So then they can they can go to the bank, use their lease to borrow money, build a proper house. That's what that's for.
Thank you. Yes, we want to upgrade the land. Surveyed, yes.
So any more questions? One here, one there, one there, one there. Oh,
Yeah, I was
thanks.
going to say, you have a scheme for putting a tax on plastic bottles, because that would create a lot of income for Fiji, and it would create a lot of jobs. The people picking up the bottles and recycling them, all the plastic bottles, because all the tourists aren't going to pick them up. So it would create and clean up Fiji, all the plastic bottles on the road, and they did in Hawaii, and it cleaned everything up.
Yeah.
So.
No, we're thinking about that, but we have to get the scheme right, because there's got to be a proper buyback scheme. Then, of course, we are, trying to encourage people to do recycling. There's some work that needs to be done on that. So that'll be something that we're looking at announcing, but most definitely it's on our radar. But we have not announced it in this budget, is it? Yeah. I mean, if you just travel from Suva to Navua, you can see everybody chucking out bottles as if it'll disappear. On big... Sorry, this thing is playing up. It's not going off. Sorry, there's a lady here, gentleman here.
My concern here is the scholarships. Like looking back at the scholarships, there's scholarships for students who are interested in agriculture, nursing, teachers, and so on. But I didn't see aeronautics or pilots for pilots. Do we have scholarship or do they give scholarship for students who are interested in aeronautics?
We do, but I don't know if aeronautics are actually available in Fiji. FNU does some form of aeronautical engineering, but at a diploma level. Yes, they can get TELS for it. It's not everything is listed here. This is just, for example, this one here, because it's a new scholarship. That's why we've listed this here, because these ones aren't available in Fiji. But yes, I mean, that's all increased. You can go, it's from 630 to 950, it's all increased. We do give TELS also for people to go to flying school, but it's limited. Because it costs about $150,000, I think. $120,000, $150,000. Now, if you talk to most high school students, a lot of especially the boys, mainly the boys, but some girls too, they all want to become pilots. The reality is we cannot afford to send all of them to flying school. And there are certain criteria. You see, not be good in a cockpit. Some of the things they do is they put a fire around you in a cockpit. How will you react to that? Maybe my vision is not 20/20. So I may be good in the academic side, but I may not be good in the practical side. And one of the things that we have done is that we have asked Fiji Airways to tell us how many pilots they can take in every year. So sometimes maximum we give is 20, sometimes maybe 10, sometimes maybe 15, sometimes maybe none. So based on their intake level, then we offer that many TELS programs or TELS number of places. Because you see, because the cost is so high, if we send 2,000 people to air pilot school and they all come out with no jobs, it'll be to the detriment of the other students who may want to do other studies. Because the pot of money is not infinite. It has a bottom. So that's why. So we based it on that.
Thank you.
You hear? It's the battery this way.
First of all, I would like to thank the Fiji First government for providing a lot of legal aid. Just like you have done for legal aid, I've got a 2-acre freehold land. If I have an investor who wants to invest roughly about $250,000 in my land, I have to run to the surveyor. I have to run to the architect. While we're running, we would like to ask this government of the day, could they set up for people who are uneducated to go there, and they will give us the right information where we can go. Just like I've got a 2-acre land, and our family is not much educated in Navua, and we have got an investor who want to invest in our land, just like about $250,000. So we don't have the right information where to go. Who can guide us? just like you have made things clear in the legal aid, people can go there, they are there to help. In these kind of sections, if could you set up people who can help?
Give legal advice.
To give the advice, where if just like where do we stand? We are doing this thing right or wrong, or we give this just like we mortgage the land in the bank. It is good or no? Because actually currently one of the investor came to us. He want to invest in the land. So we don't have the right route to where to go and whom to ask. So I'm just speaking to the government of the day that you are saying that if you invest, the money will stay here, and our when our children will grow up, if I'm not there, they will be there. So my request is this: if you could set up just like you have set it up in legal aid, could you set up something for the Fijian people where we can go and get the advice? We are doing this; it is right or wrong?
At the moment, of course, we don't have that. I mean, at the moment, you can go to legal aid, and they can give you advice, for example, on wills, and somebody dies without a will, that type of thing, and also, in drafting of wills. But we don't have that type of commercial advice.
Yes.
There's an agency. This is a new one. We have to think about it. But there's also consequences too, because, for example, if we give you business advice. If you give you business advice, and if we set up an agency and we give you business advice, say this is the way to go, assuming then after a while you don't like the advice, and you follow the advice, you don't like the advice, then you might sue us if you're giving the wrong advice.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that you have made for poor people who did not have that experience, you have set up and it's working, the legal aid. So something must be lined up so the people who are uneducated, they will come down there and they will know that these people, just like we know, we trust Fiji first. These people are doing great for us. So that's why we want something like that it's in the right direction. The government of the day won't put something bad for the public. He always will maintain that this generation is ours. So that's why I'm pleading to you.
See, the legal aid does not have commercial. What you are saying is actually commercial advice. The legal aid does not have the expertise to give commercial advice. This is mainly sort of legal driven. Like I said, criminal matters, family matters, matrimonial matters, child custody, and also now, of course, doing probate, wills, all of that. We have the Ministry of Industry and Trade that gives advice to small businesses or to cooperatives. But at the moment, we don't have what you're suggesting, so we have to think about that and see how the structure will be. I mean, I can say to you, yes, don't worry, we'll do it. But I don't want to lie to you. I want to be able to think about how it can be done. If somebody is coming to you and saying, look, we want to invest in your land, so somebody will need to say what kind of investment it is, how much money they want you to put in, will they take a lease over your land, or will they have some kind of license over your land, will you do sharecropping, those kind of things. You need people who can understand that. But, we have people who write to us individually. We have people who write to us individually, and we then point them in some direction. We can do it that way. But at the moment, there is no immediate plans to set up an agency like that. But we do help people sort of individually in that sense.
So currently, if I'm in that problem, where shall I go?
You can write to us. We'll point you in the right direction. Yeah, I know, but it's also very difficult too.
If I say that if I will write back to you, I have wrote 2 or 3 letters to you.
Yes.
And I have not gotten a reply of it.
Yes.
I have not.
Regarding that?
No, regarding some other issues. Yes. But I did not get the right feedback.
The right feedback?
Yes. That's why if I write it this way again, and I will wait for another year to get the feedback, and the investor will go back.
Yeah, well, because you're raising it now, maybe we'll respond to you tomorrow. No, but you see, you have to understand, government does not give advice on personal matters. In fact, I have got people coming to me and saying, my brother and I have this land, we have a dispute. Can you help me because this brother is not doing the right thing? I can't give advice on that.
No,
it's
no.
a personal matter.
I got big respect for you. What I'm trying to say is this: never mind if we are putting there $250,000 worth of investment, if he can charge some fees, you know.
Who can charge fees?
Just like the legal aid you have set up.
Yes.
You know.
That's why lawyers are there. That's why accountants are there. You need to go and see a private accountant. You need to go and see a private lawyer who can give you advice. Yes, admittedly, some lawyers don't do the right things. I know that.
If you are saying to me to go to the lawyer, if I go tomorrow there, first upon he will ask me that you will pay me $2,000 fees. All these problems we are facing. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I've got big respect for you. You don't take me wrongly. Because
No, I'm not taking it wrongly.
I'm coming from a very poor family. That's why we are here, and we are very thankful of the government of the day. Thank you.
But I gave you an option. I said raise it with us. You write to us. You said you want to wait for 1 year. I'm telling you I'll give you a response. And when I'm telling you, when I say I give you I'll point in the right direction, does not necessarily mean that I will give you the advice to what to do exactly on that land. I won't do that. But I can point in the right direction and tell you where you need to go to get that advice. I cannot give personal advice. Please understand that. I get that on a daily basis. Maybe I did not respond to you. That's why. I get that on a daily basis. People ring me up. This lady raised an issue. I've had people ring me up saying, I had a lady who's got kids, educated the kids. They still live in Fiji. She's got both the legs amputated because of diabetes. She lives on her own. She rings me up and says, I've got people coming in and taking out stuff from my house. What can I do to that? I can ring up the police for her. She's got disability allowance. She's got welfare allowance. But in respect of getting her son to come and look after her, I can't do that. I don't have the legal authority. Son will say, who the hell are you? In the same way, people writing to me saying, my husband is having an affair, can you bring him back to me? I can't do that. Or my wife is having an affair. You see, you have to understand. I mean, these are all personal issues. And unfortunately, somebody said to us that we are the victims of our own success. This government has been the most accessible government ever. You've never had this kind of consultations before. And the kind of services we now provide is unprecedented. But some people now are taking it really to the next step. So those kind of things we can't do, unfortunately. But, please drop us something. Is somebody over here? Is someone over there?
Thank you, AG. Firstly, I'd like to welcome you in Navua and giving us the brief and detailed explanation on the budget. I have got some issues, not with the government, but the government has given us brief best budget for Fiji, and the allocations are good. That allocations are given to the ministries. But going down to the bottom and where the allocations are given, for example, I'd like to put the M-Pesa one. We have seen the M-Pesa money being distributed to the people who are rich. The members in the family collected about five members in the family, they collected, 5 members collected the money. But where the money should have gone, the money is not there. Here I am trying to blame the workers. The ministry level, the money is there. When it goes down to the government workers, the proper allocations are not being given. Same as the agriculture allocations. Sir, I plead to you if you can look into it and request the money to be, the allocations for the poor to be allocated properly. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's a combination of issues. This is one of the reasons why we always talk about civil service reforms. We need to appoint the right civil servants in the right positions. The culture has been in the civil service for a long period of time. A lot of people used to get appointed to civil service based on who they knew, based on ethnicity, based on their religion, based on who they knew in the system. In fact, one of the ministries, when we were appointed in 2007, people were being paid, were given jobs because they paid the first part of the salary, the first cut to the permanent secretary. That's what used to happen. So we've come a long way. And of course, there are still some people who may not necessarily be doing the job. Some civil servants may still be, arrogant, irresponsible, not responding. But some of them are also good too. So some of them may not be doing their jobs. But the other point also, there's a certain level of responsibility, in particular in issues like M-Pesa, where you had help for homes and homes care. People were willfully signing false declarations. We trust the Fijian people when we offer this. Home care, help for homes, we had $125 million. Care Fiji, we had care homes, we had $110 million. We expect people to do the right thing. Recently, we had, this taxi, the permits. Now, we've set a criteria. We said that you qualify to get a permit if you earn less than $20,000. If you have been a taxi driver for 10, 15 years, don't have a permit. These are the two main criteria. Then, of course, people sign declarations. Then, because now we've got a quota system, which is a good system, it's a transparent system. So you'll, for example, say Navua or Pacific Harbour or this area will get certain number of taxis or permits. Then those people who meet the criteria, you apply. Then, for example, if this area, hypothetically speaking, as an example, if we say there'll be 50 permits given, if, for example, 200 people qualify, right? 200 people meet the criteria. Obviously, there's 50 permits, 200 people have qualified. How do we choose the 50 out of the 200? The best way is through the barrel. Because if we start deciding ourselves, they say, oh, you gave it to him because, he went to the same high school. Or he got it because he went to the same province or same religion, ethnicity, whatever. So best system is in the barrel. Now what we found in Lautoka, after the fact, after we did the barrel, a lot of the people, there 3, 4 people from one family had applied. People who had more than $20,000 had applied. You see, this is the level of dishonesty. We had people applying for the last one that we gave, whose homes did not even, the cyclone wind did not even touch their roofs. They applied. The water did not reach their yard, they applied. So this is when we talk about the culture of dishonesty. We've now put in place, obviously, these forms, there's heavy penalties, etc. We have to go through the police process, we have to investigate, etc. Ministry of Economy, the PS, is a team that does random checks. So there's also the responsibility of members of the public. The reality is that government cannot keep on doing this all the time. You trust people. We've trusted people so much. I mean, somebody asked me the other question on Sunday. They said, oh, you've given this family care leave, 5 days entitled. He said, how do you know people will actually not take the leave because somebody sick in the family? I said, well, we're trusting the workers of Fiji to do that. You see, somebody said to me, that means they'll be away from work exactly for 5 days. You're trusting them to do that. So if we are trusting them, given a certain level of responsibility, they need to reciprocate it too. They have to reciprocate it. We need to increase our productivity. Otherwise, we'll just be a culture of people who just want to take, don't give. We have to give to take. You see, that's part of the problem too. But I agree there are, of course, some people who may not be doing the job, and we need to address that issue also.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is somebody else at the back? The gentleman here, sorry, I forgot. And then after that, after him, then somebody here.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
I'd just like to comment on the presentation made this evening. And I'm very glad that I made the decision to come and listen to you, sir. I'd like to thank you for the beautiful presentation of the budget. It was very comprehensive and informative. And I also listened to the budget, went through the budget when it came out. And they were, like last year, quite a number of interesting initiatives and incentives. And I'd like to thank the government of the day. In hindsight, since '87, with a turbulent political environment and economic environment that affected our economy, after your presentation, I could see that the economy has really made a big comeback in a very big way. Our economy is quite much stronger now than it used to be. And that is something I really appreciate, and I believe the people of Fiji should appreciate, amongst other things that the governments is doing at the moment. Just looking at how the economy have grown thus far, I could only have high hopes and be optimistic of the future, talking 10 to 20 years' time. I would like to see what the government could do by then, and to see the environment that could be, the economic environment that could be created by the government in the future. For that, I have a lot of hope and believe that our future generations will be in good hands. And I would like to thank the government of the day for that. That's just what I wanted to share this evening. Besides that, I just, you mentioned earlier in the first few minutes of your speech about bringing street lights as part of the infrastructure development around the country. My question is, how were the areas that where the street lights are going to be placed? How was it mapped, or who was responsible in mapping out where the street light should be and where the street lights should not be? Because from where I come from, I teach at Lomeri Secondary School, and we live between Wainyambia and Ngaloa. We do not see any street lights being put up in there. In fact, there is a collection of settlements, freehold estates, little settlements, and the schools, 2 schools and a parish. At times during the year, we have functions during the night. That place is quite very dark, and the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour. So it is a risk if it's still dark, and only the people of Ngaloa down that side and Wainyambia up this way have street lights and not us. That's the question I want to pose tonight. And I wish, and I hope, sir, in your capacity as a minister and AG, could intervene for us and help us in that regard. Thank you.
Sure. Look, the way the street lights are done is that it's based on population pockets, and also, for example, commercial centers. But very quickly, I want to add that this is the first round only. So obviously, there's a lot more. I mean, there are places obviously that may have been missed out. But this is the first round. I mean, for example, this area has been selected. There's obviously quite a lot of homes. There's a few shops around here. And in fact, I saw the lights are ending there, but it'll be extended further down because you've done this stretch here. Now, so that's the rationale behind it, where you have pockets of population, where you may have some commercial centers. Now, what's the rationale overall behind streetlights? Obviously, it's to create safety. It's also to create, a sense of having utilities that you may enjoy in the towns and cities. This is a great place for people to come and buy blocks of land and build their homes too. It's not that far from Suva. People can actually travel to Suva on a daily basis from here. Some people already do that. But not many people necessarily may want to come and build their home here. So, I mean, these are the kind of things that actually, you bring in those type of utilities here. But this is the first round. Of course, there'll be more to come. In the same way that some people say, why is this road sealed and the other one's not sealed? It's options, and we have to live within our capacity too. So that's how they've been selected. They did a first round. The Fiji Roads Authority is the one that does do that. Of course, there's some policy direction in that respect. We need to target, for example, where there are pockets of population, and that's what's happened. I mean, the other thing that you mentioned about the economy, look, one of the issues that a lot of people don't understand, this gentleman had raised the issue about the currency. There needs to be consistency in policies for the economy to consistently grow. If you chop and change policies, then the economy will not grow. And the economy growing is not necessarily only about policies per se, about economics directly. It's also creating the right environment. You know, so for example, we're investing a lot of money in education. We need to continue to do that. We're a small country. We're not even 1 million people. You know, I talked about Mauritius earlier on. Mauritius, the size of Mauritius as a country is only about 2,000 square kilometers. Viti Levu is 10,000 square kilometers. So they're 1/5 the size, the entire country of Fiji. They have about 1.2, 1.3 million people. So when you have that many people also, it creates a local consumption demand. So we don't even have local demand as much as we should. So those are the kind of things that we need to be mindful of. So we need to always look at how we can do things smartly. We're not even next to, a large populated region. You look at Singapore. Singapore is about nearly twice the size of Taveuni. We buy all our fuel from we buy our fuel from Singapore. Guess what? Singapore has not got a single ounce of oil. They bring raw oil or crude oil, as they say, into Singapore. They refine it and they sell it to the rest of the world. But the advantage they have, they're next to Asia. Huge demand for goods and services. So Singapore has modeled itself into a nice haven. It's a nice city. Everybody follows the rule of law. Everybody follows the rules. Everybody gets treated equally. All the citizens have equal rights. They've invested in their people. Right from the 1960s, sent off everybody to Harvard and Cambridge and everywhere to study. They invested in their people first. The equivalent of the FNPF invested in roads, bridges, jetties, the airport, the national airline. FNPF never did that from the beginning. FNPF never did that, for example, investing in the airport or investing in the national airline. They were very strategic about it. When they built the airport, they thought 50 years ahead. Okay, we must buy this much land because one day the aeroplanes will get bigger. One day we'll get more aircraft coming in. You look at the airport they built in Lambasa, between the bend of one river. How can you extend the runway? You can find another site. You see, this is the kind of thinking that took place or did not take place. So whenever you do things, you have to think 20, 30, 50 years ahead. This is why I actually get very annoyed. Political parties are now saying, we'll make university free. Why aren't they talking about high schools? Because they're only talking about university because that's where the vote is. University students vote. High school students don't vote. I'm more concerned about high schools. I'm more concerned about primary schools. If you have solid and good primary and secondary schools, then you produce good students. Till today, we have students going to university who've never seen a computer, never used a computer, don't even have science labs. So we need to spend money in those places. You see, it's all politics that they play. So what I'm saying is that if we have a focus on the fundamentals of economy, and the economic fundamentals, then we have enormous potential to grow. Enormous potential to grow. If you make people welcome, we say everybody's a Fijian now. It's very important. Very important. That all our young people will feel that, yes, I'm part of it. If I apply for a job, it doesn't matter which province I come from, doesn't matter which religion I am, what ethnicity I am, what school I went to, I'll be treated equally. Everybody applies for the job. The best person gets the job. So you see, that is critically important. People don't factor that into the economy. Because when you have such a large portion of your population being young, we need to harness that energy. If you don't harness the population, the young population, they leave. Who will then do all the nice, wonderful things? The technology we're talking about, this Wi-Fi, you turn on your phone now, you can watch live television. Live TV you can watch. Whoever thought that would be done? We've got some people from overseas to do it, but guess who will run it for us? The young graduates from the university. We're creating jobs for them. But we need them here. We don't want them in Australia, New Zealand, or North America. So how do we retain them here? By doing reviews of salaries, by ensuring that they get treated equally, by ensuring we have street lights, ensuring we have a fully functioning banking system. Those things are very important. Somebody here?
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Say I got one project here with you. That is the economy of Fiji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And I can produce about 10 tons a day that pelletize organic manure. And I need government to help me to fund it for this project. Can they do that?
You just giving me the papers?
Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah.
But,
no, but we'll look into it, we'll get
yeah,
back to
look
you.
it, yeah.
The two ministries, relevant ministries that would be probably applicable in that case would be the Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Industry and Trade. So we can pass it on to them. They'll have a study of it and we can get back to you. Have you left your contact details there?
Yeah, PS knows.
Okay.
Rebecca.
You're aware?
You can contact Josephine.
Are you aware? No, you have to do it. You have to put it on the sheet of paper. Put your contact details in your name, please.
Okay, I'll do that. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Sorry. One last question. We will make this the last question.
I'm sure most of us here tonight are from Navua. We want to know when will Navua be declared town. I'm sure it doesn't come under your ministry, but please, sir, we would like to know that tonight.
Okay. No, in fact, part of the economy we look at from a planning perspective too. You see, before you declare someplace a town, we have to make sure that the amenities are all there. You see, as you know, we've been putting street lights. In fact, I had a discussion with the Minister for Local Government about this. You don't even have Tahsil Road up to your park. You know, your ground, what's it called? Thompson Park. So I think, a good town really should have Tahsil Road at least up to your park. We want to get the drainage right. Because you see, the moment you get declared a town, you start paying rates. You will then want to know, where is my rate money going to? What is my rates buying for me? So we want to upgrade Navua to a respectable level. We can have a nice fanfare and declare Navua a town. Everybody says, great party and all that. And after 2 weeks, you'll be annoyed by it. Because your drain is not properly made. Your lights aren't there. You do not have enough, tar sealing on the road. So that's what we are looking at doing. So when we actually do declare the Navua town, then you can, feel proud of it. That's what we're doing.
So because why I asked this question, we were here in a Talanoa session with the Honorable Prime Minister last year at Rampur College when we came and declared one of the classrooms open. And he made a promise to us. He said, because I also asked him of this question, and he said, September. So I don't know, this was last year. Last year September, or this year September, or another 5 years September, or 10 years September. Yeah. But good that you've answered the question well tonight.
Well, that's being ridiculous to say it'll be in 5 years September. I think that's being ridiculous. The point of the matter is, like I said to you, the Honorable Prime Minister obviously gave you an answer. The point of the matter is that you'd rather, the point is, do you just simply want a town declared to be Navua town, or do you want the amenities that goes with the town? That's what we're trying to say to you. You'd rather have the amenities. Yeah, exactly. So my point is that you need to be a bit patient. We're trying to get things right. There are certain parts of the town that needs to be upgraded. Once we do that, then actually you can feel proud. If somebody then come from your relative from Lotoka may come and say, what kind of town do you have? You don't even have street lights. You got potholes, or you don't even have Tahsil up to your Thompson Park. That's the thing. Of course, the gentleman here is talking about sewage. You can't turn sewage overnight. That's a long-term plan too. So, unfortunately, a lot of the things that we are doing now, I wish they had planned many years ago. A lot of the places in Fiji, if you go, the water pipe is built under the middle of the road. So when the water pipe that is now 30 years old, 50 years old, starts leaking, nobody knows it's leaking. Everybody complains about the road. It's always got potholes. Why has it got potholes? Oh, after a while people discover it's got a water leak. So what do? In order to fix up the water leak, you dig up the road. Double the cost. You fix up the pipe, you have to fix up the road too. So people did not use their brains. You should put the water pipe on the side of the road. Of course, not everywhere you can do that. You may cross the road. If you go to Nandi, if you look at Nandi and you see the 4-lane road that we've done, you see, we spend a lot of money in digging things out. We've taken the water pipes, put it on the side of the road. I don't know how many of you have noticed or not. There's no electricity cables on top. You put the cables underground. Next time there's a cyclone, there's nothing to blow down. It's under the ground. You see? So that costs money, but it includes a lot of planning. That whole stretch from Nandi town all the way up to Martin town was strewn with cables, pipes that weren't even used. When we redid Nandi airport, when they started digging up, pulling down walls, they found floors with different levels. Sewage pipe underneath the main area. Sewage pipes going nowhere. You see, the fact of the matter is a lot of people think it's very easy. We are actually trying to correct the ills of the past, not just in governance terms, but also in infrastructure terms. So now you don't have sewage. So if we want to connect Navua town to sewage, where are we going to put the sewage pipes? Is there any reserve? All the houses are right up to the road. Do we dig up the house, buy the house out, compulsory acquisition, or do we dig up the road again now to put up the sewage pipes? You see? So, I don't think it's mockery. I don't think it's good to make mockery of the PM, and frankly, I don't take very kindly to that. But the fact of the matter is that he gave you his answer in goodwill. And what I'm trying to tell you is that we are trying to do the right thing. So you can be proud of your town. Get the right amenities in place. Get the lights in place. Get the roads in place. Get the tahsil in place. And then you declare the town. Is it making any difference to Navua at the moment, to the people of Navua, that we have not declared you a town? You still have your services running. So in the same way, for example, we are doing a lot of things, like some of the schools that I mentioned. We need to get it right. We have done a stock, in this budget, we have announced that we are going to do a stock take of all the schools in Fiji. All these decades, none of the schools, we don't even have a proper stock take. How many buildings are there in Rampur? What's the condition? When was the last time it was upgraded? We need to know that about every single school. There are schools in Fiji, like recently, the Honorable PM went up to Bua. Some schools run by committees, community committees. They have holes in the floor. There's some kids coming from a primary school from an island off Bua. They come from primary school, live in a boarding school, because there's no school on the island. It's got floor in the wall, in the floor. You've got a hole in the floor. Frogs come in during the night. We have schools that don't have labs. These are some very critical issues. This should have been done decades ago, but nobody did it, because everybody's living for the day. A lot of the things we are doing now, money we're investing now, is for the future. We won't see the results of it now. You'll see the results in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time. We now have, for the first time, because Rambuka got rid of the 5-year development plan, we now have a 5-year and a 20-year development plan that was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in Bonn. You know exactly what's going to happen, what should happen. You've got all the statistics. Which areas of Fiji will grow? Where is the population movement? 50% of sugarcane production went down in Vanuatu because the land leases weren't renewed. Where are they now? Squatters living between Nosori and Suva. So how are we going to tackle with these issues? Like I mentioned to you, 50% of the population is below the age of 27. 70% below the age of 40. They may be young, but what's going to happen in 30 years' time? They'll all become old. We'll have an older population. So we have to change our medical services. We have to change the policies will be done. A lot of these things have been done. We brought in the guy who was the architect and town planner of Singapore. He was here. I don't know how many of you read the papers. He was here. We're getting him to do a plan of all the towns and cities in Fiji. Make it user-friendly. We have the old mindset in Fiji, you know, because from the colonial times, nobody wanted to change it. You see, look at all the towns and cities, the structure is, you have one big bus stand, one big market. Everybody goes to that bus stand, you go to that market. No thinking about devolving that. We've made funding in the budget to devolve it. In other words, we should have decentralized markets. I was talking to this gentleman, I said, our idea is to have more suburban markets. For example, you go to Suva. Why should everybody from all over around Suva come to Suva market? Why can't they have a market in their own suburb? They have a market in Flagstaff, one in Rewanga, one in Navua. Then it makes it easier for people. As people get older, it's easier for them to go there. Less carbon footprint. Don't have to drive there every day. You can walk. These are the things you need to think about. A lot of the land was put as reserves where we have, supposedly freeways going to be built. All squatters are there. Land came, that Lodala Bay where you have the Vodafone Arena, all that land was reserved. They thought about decentralizing bus stand. This was before the 87 coup. Guess what happened? It's now privately owned. What happened? So, you see, these are the things you need to think about. If you really want to become modern, if you really want to have sustained economy, if you're really thinking about the future, we have to think 10, 15, 20 years ahead. And we have to stop thinking about the here and now. Those people crooking from the system, making false declarations, they're only thinking about themselves. They don't care about the country. So in a way, people who do that, who only think about the now, I say, and I've said this before, are very unpatriotic. No point in being patriotic when you have Fiji playing rugby sevens. You need to be patriotic all the time. The person who throws rubbish out their car or their bus, I believe, is very unpatriotic. Because they don't care about their country. The person who makes a false declaration is unpatriotic. The civil servant who does not do the job is unpatriotic. So we need to take a real look at ourselves. Don't fall for all these shenanigans that's going on. Let's look into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming and for your participation. Like I said, those people who have any personal issues, please come to the back of the hall. We've got our staff here. We'll talk to you and we'll take down all the details for you. Okay, thank you. Vinaka.